Unsyndicated presents Off the Board, the weekly gambling show. Hosted by Blake Majchrzak and Mike Iavasile.
Hi.
Hey.
You caught me in the middle of sharing the show. I don't know what we have to. Todd, I'm gonna do something to make that intro longer, just so that I have time to share the show, because this happens every time. Welcome in. I'm Blake Majchrzak. He's Mike Iavasile, and we're gonna talk about some picks for this week. And I'd really like to not talk about our picks from last week, but I know that we have to. That's part of the show. But mine were bad.
For the show?
For everything. Well,
for
college
everything?
College for everything. NFL, I keep doing well, and it just doesn't make any sense to me, because I'm being genuinely honest when I say this. I didn't watch any NFL last weekend. I watched some of the Lions game. I was at a fundraiser. So I didn't get to watch much. Like, the fundraiser had the Lions game on, so I watched most of that. Yeah. But I didn't even stay through the fourth quarter because it was a boring game, to be honest with you. So I was like, I'm done. And then now that I posted that, I can focus. So yeah, it's just, I'm excited to watch tonight's game. And then I didn't even tell you this, Sunday Night Football.
Yep.
I was like kind of excited. Cold Vikings. I was like, I'll tune in, watch that, because like I said, I didn't watch anything Sunday. Corporate Blake fell asleep on the couch before kickoff.
You pulled a mic.
I was out like a light by 8:15. Just passed out. I don't know what happened.
Well, the good news is you missed nothing on Sunday. It was kind of a dud. I was out and about doing stuff, and I just poked my nose in, obviously, to check on some bets, and obviously watching the Lions game and stuff. But you didn't miss anything. Once again, NCAA Saturday, as usual, outshines the Sunday. But I gotta tell you, I loved my week. I went 11-6.
That's awesome.
But here's the thing. I didn't lose value on one bet. When that's happening, that's when that's happening, you know something's good is about to happen. And as we get going, I'll talk a little bit about why you're doing well in the NFL, maybe not so well in the NCAA, and why I'm doing the exact opposite.
So I went 13-13, which is fantastic. We'll take that 500 every week. We're good. Yep. But in college alone, I went 6-11. And in show picks, I went 1-4. And then NFL, I went 7-2. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, well, I mean, we know for a fact. I did a little digging to get past the numbers I pulled up last week with how the public's doing in the NFL. But on that flip of why I'm not doing as well in the NFL as I'm doing in the NCAA is the public is just crushing it in the NFL, Blake. And again, the public, people have to understand, I'm not saying that as a bad bettor. I'm just saying, when I say public, that just means majority of the bets. Where a majority of the bets are. And I'm going to be the opposite, but they're freaking crushing it. And I have some numbers there, but it's the exact opposite in the NC2A. In the NC2A, if you are on a game that has a majority of the bets, so we're talking 55 to 60% of the bets on there, you're losing. You're losing. You're about 48, 47%. So one of the guys I follow, Steve Mackinnon, threw these numbers out there. If teams that have a majority of the bets in the NFL, Blake, they're hitting 60% ATS. That's bad. Listen to the way I speak when I do my bets. I say the public sees this, a majority of the bets are here. I'm going the opposite, right? That's why I'm not doing so well.
And that's that's usually what a sharp aims for.
100%. And for someone like my goal every year is 57%. I'm hitting at 56% right now. I couldn't be happier. On the money line, 74% if you have a majority of the bets. The totals, 56%. When you look at those numbers, it makes sense to why my numbers are lower in the NFL. He actually said some of the experts, some of the sharps are saying this is one of the first times ever that the majority of bets are that high in all three of the categories: totals, money line, and on the sides. And when I saw that, it totally makes sense to me. Now I'm like, now I get it. On the NCAA where I don't do so well, the majority of the bets aren't doing good. I'm going to do well there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, there's so much parity in college football this year, which has made it a very interesting season to watch, just gambling aside.
Yes.
Like, it's exciting to watch. There's a lot of upsets and things going on, and you still have these great teams, but there's many more of them. There's probably like 8 or 9 teams that you can legitimately say like have a shot right now. Whereas like the last couple of years, it's been like 3 or 4.
Oh,
so it's just so different.
Yeah, when you look at the transfer portal, NIL, and something I'm sure you're itching to talk about, this 12-team playoff. With the 12-team playoff giving more teams a chance to make a playoff, those 3 things are causing this parity in NCAA football. And that is something I was preaching last week. I need parity for myself to be a successful bettor, because I need these dogs to come in. And you got to watch, though, there's more parity in college, but the bigger dogs are not coming in as much. If you remember, like the first 3 weeks, I would tell you how many, 20 points and more. It's not happening. I was trying to do some of the math. I just got frustrated because I was losing. And so I've really scaled back. I always have my stinker, getting 16, getting 20, getting 25. When we go there, I don't think I have anybody over 10.5. So I really scaled it back. That's where you're finding that parity from 5.5 to 10.5. There's a lot more parity in the NC2A.
Yeah, definitely. All right, you want to get into these games from last week real quick?
Yeah.
Let's pull that up. So start with college. Yeah, 1-4 week for me. I didn't spread the board very much. We talked about that. I had one pick on every game last week. The Penn State game just literally like ripped my balls off. It felt like, because they should, like, Ohio State did not win that game. Penn State lost that game 100%.
Yep.
You have a pick six, you go up 10-0 right off of the rip. You have a pick six and you have a good drive to get a field goal. Ohio State fumbles out of the back of the end zone when they're going in for a touchdown. Okay. So that's a 7-point swing right there. And you still lose by a touchdown because your offense is just so inept. It was and they had goal to go situations 2 different times in that game, including the one at the end of the half. And the pick that guy made was incredible. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But still, like, it was just so frustrating. And Allor, like, he looked good. He looked healthy.
Yep.
But their receivers just stink.
Yes. But you also have to get to, they preached it the entire time that this is the offense that James Franklin has wanted. They wanted to open up and all these things. And they just didn't do it. And I think I referenced you in a tweet from Mike Lombardi that said that first goal line set football back 50 years. Like that was awful. There was not one play. Like, again, when you're watching it, just like we were talking about the 2-point conversions with the New York Giants, you can see the confidence in players by how they know they practiced this play and they've had this play be successful before. And it just wasn't there. It was all momentum for Ohio State on that. And that game, again, like you said, Ohio State didn't win it. Penn State lost that game. That was an absolute turd, but I'll take that under.
And if you're Penn State, your best player is Tyler Warren. Just let him do Wildcat with him at goal line, because he does not go down first contact ever. Yeah. Dude's a beast. Yeah. So it was so, and you're motioning an offensive lineman for a double team. It's not even like it's a kick out block. It was so frustrating. Oregon with the last, like they covered right at the end there.
Yeah.
So
how funny was that?
I mean, it was predictable.
Yeah.
It was just, and you know what I will say about that game from a Michigan standpoint, the offense the last couple of weeks is starting to get an identity, and they're moving the ball better, and they're scheming stuff for Colston Loveland and everything. Yep. So like, as shocking as it is, and I know Oregon blew Michigan out, I feel better about Michigan after that game. I really do. Okay. Offensively, I feel better about them. Defensively, like your two best corners were out of that game. Yeah. And Oregon has 3 dudes that will probably be playing on Sundays.
Yeah.
So you're going to give up some explosives there. And, the explosives obviously led to that overhitting. But Oregon's one of the 3 best teams in the country, and right now they're the number 1 team in the country, and for good reason. They have the best win, everything. So
yeah, and you've said it like every week about they look like they're playing with their food. They just have to stop it. They have to stop it. Just at some point bear down and just play the game. I thought I was going to get a miraculous under there because that game started out like it was just going to be death. But I'm not mad at it. It's just I would make that bet again. I think if it was a cleaner game, everything goes well. That could have been, but hey, it's not. I like the side that I was on that one. I like the side I was on a lot of these. I think that SMU Pitt game was the only one I could throw away.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that 100%. But just real quick, Georgia game, I didn't catch a whole lot of this, but I knew with the turnovers that happened in that game, that's what screwed us on that under because there's a lot of short fields.
Yeah, and and the one was right in. I think it was towards the end of the game in the fourth quarter. The guy he just threw it right to him. Like this game was going under. I think there's 3 minutes left to go in the game, and he's throwing just a little bit of an out, almost just past the line of scrimmage, and threw it right to him. Then I was even thinking, all right, they're just going to kneel down. Yeah, no, they scored. Like that right there, that was the right side, right bite, right everything. Injury to the quarterback, kid comes in, throws an interception, whatever. I'm good with it.
Carson Beck has just looked horrible since that Bama game.
He needs really to look. I'm hoping he looks horrible again this week.
We'll be talking about that game in a little bit, I believe. And then, like we were both completely wrong in that SMU Pitt game.
Yeah.
Not even and close. that kind of relates to the next game too. Because I thought like Clemson, Miami was going to be those were the 2 best teams in the ACC. Clemson obviously laid a complete dud at home. And now it's really SMU and Miami.
Yes.
That are going to be kind of battling for that ACC crown. So
and for that playoff spot. So, we were talking about that, but as soon as we start, Klubnik even looked good in the beginning of the game. Like it was going, then all of a sudden I didn't even watch the end of the game. And I'm like, wait, what? What happened?
And that place emptied out.
Oh, it was bad.
It was sad. It was really sad. So, but I mean, and the way it was I caught a little bit of the beginning of the game because there were some other games I was more interested in Saturday night. But it seemed like it was going to go over at first. There were some points early, like both teams were moving the ball, but it just kind of slowed down. And Louisville went so far up that Clemson just they couldn't move the ball. So
it was bad.
Maybe Louisville's back. On to the NFL, though.
Yeah, let's show this NFL here.
Okay, there we go.
Who's your daddy?
We're both been doing good in the NFL, man. I mean, that Buffalo Miami game, I'll take that as an L. I mean, Miami's just a different team with Tua. I didn't think we would see it as like he played great.
Yeah,
it's just Josh Allen's and that offense is just rolling right now. But that was a really tight game. Cleveland was never close. We were completely on the wrong side of that. Jameis is going to give us one of those every once in a while. He's going to have a good week. He's going to have a bad week. That was a bad week for Jameis.
That was beyond bad. That was humorous. Because I had that one. That was when I was doing the red zone. And just every time they flipped over and showed him, it was an interception. And like I'm like, he could have had 10 interceptions. It was so bad. That was one where that was a total stinker. And that was one of my bets. Like I had that in my account. That was one of the two I lost in the NFL last week. And I got to say, fading myself went 3-0. I should really, really listen and do that a little bit more often. But I can't complain.
Hey, that's what you're going to get. That's the Jameis Winston experience. That's why he's Mr. 30-30. We're going to have some weeks where he looks incredible. And then there's going to be weeks where he throws a bunch of interceptions and looks like he's never played football before.
And that was last week.
That's fine. I will take that. That's way more fun than Deshaun Watson.
100%. Pure entertainment. And then any interview after is even more entertainment. That's free entertainment.
Yep. Your under was easy because of the weather. Like that weather was atrocious. And I know rain doesn't really it has to be pretty heavy rain for it to affect the game. It affected that game 100%. And
the wind too. That was more the wind. That wind was killing it.
Yep. And Detroit is the best team in the NFC. Like there's
as you say, they're really good at that football.
Yes, they are. Vikings rolled. Like I said, I fell asleep before this game even started. From what you've said, I'm happy I did. The under, I woke up to a winning ticket, so that was good. I was happy about that. That's a great feeling, just waking up and you say, hey, there's more money in my account than when I went to bed.
See what you just did? You just had the Mike experience. Any night game. Tonight, I've got a game going. I've got a couple going. I will not see the end of these games. Tomorrow, I've got a game. Saturday night, Sunday, I've got games every night. I never see the end of those games. I just wake up and I scroll slowly on my phone so I don't see too. Yes, I love it.
And then KC's just going to play the same game every week. It's going to be tight games, but Patrick Mahomes is going to find a way to win. Tampa should have went for 2 to win the game, in my opinion. I don't know what
we just talked about
doing, but
he blew it even when he allowed time on the freaking clock.
I know
so that Mahomes could have he blew that in several ways.
They could have lost that game in regulation because KC, I think, had all 3 timeouts too.
In 30 seconds, dumb ass.
Yeah, we saw that against the Bills, and I think the Bills that year were a little bit better than this Tampa Bay team.
Oh, gee, they're a little bit loaded. Yeah,
you got to go for the win in regulation when you're Tampa, especially when you're down as many guys as they are. You don't want to leave that up to a coin flip. No. You just don't. So, if it's more than a touchdown against KC, though, I'm going to take whoever KC is playing because they are playing in the same game every single week.
Absolutely. And again, they do not care about your bet. They're going to win the game. That's the only thing they care about.
Yep. They don't Mahomes isn't even having a good year, but they're incredible on third down and they don't take big losses. And when you do those two things in the NFL, you will be in every game no matter what. And when you have a guy like Mahomes, you're going to win.
And they're going to get better every week. Andy Reid is good at this coaching thing. They're going to get better every week. That offense is slowly getting better. Hopkins now.
Hopkins has been there for 2 weeks.
Get healthy.
He already had 2 touchdowns.
They're getting healthy. That defense is legit. They added pieces. That's going to be a team that they don't care. They're going to be in the playoffs. That's all that matters. And they're just going to go about working and
they're probably better. And they're probably going to get the 1 seed now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, all right. Records, please, Todd. Well, actually, I really don't want to see them. They're ugly for me, but it is what it is.
Where am I? I'm getting there.
48%. You're right there. I mean, you're 3 games out. I'm 11 games back. I need a big week this week. I got a lot of double dips to try and get myself back.
I came close to throwing my first double dip in there, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I need one out of you before the end of the year.
There's going to be one. I mean, something's going to come across that totally has it. It was the one that I was going to do was the Ole Miss game. I had decent numbers on both, and just Lane Kiffin big games revenge spots isn't good, and so I couldn't make it work.
Two things I'll answer real quick in the chat. Darren, that is a game we're going to talk about in a little bit. We get to the NFL games second half, so we're going to go through the college slate first, but that is one of the ones that we're going to pick for tonight. And with the KC thing, I think KC is the best team in the NFL, because the thing is you have Patrick Mahomes, and their defense is incredible. So
yes,
if you're asking me on neutral site who I'm going to take, Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City's defense, or I think the Lions are the best offense in the league right now.
Yep.
But the defensively, Kansas City is just far superior in my opinion.
There's nothing they could do on a neutral site as far as making anyone even a 1-point favorite in that game that would get bet and eaten up immediately to a pick'em game. The only thing I would hold off on is to see what Detroit's defense looks like since the trade deadline, picking up a rusher, because their offense, their offensive line and their defense is serviceable. They're doing only thing they can't do is rush the quarterback. So we got to see if they can rush the quarterback. But other than that, that's a pick'em game on a neutral site and one that I want to see. That would be amazing.
My dream Super Bowl matchup for this year, actually, now that I'm not working in radio, I'm like, the Lions can go. I'm fine, whatever. That was the thing with me. I was like, I don't want to be working in radio. And that would have been hell for me that whole week. So now I don't care. But Buffalo, Detroit would be the drunkest Super Bowl ever. It would be incredible.
Yes, it would be.
In New Orleans.
The body slams in the tables, the crap going on down there.
And those two franchises that have had their hearts ripped out forever going against each other in the it would be amazing. It would be awesome.
That would be a good that would be good. I wouldn't mind that one at all. The Detroit people, as long as Detroit's in there. But all right, we're going to be getting to our bets, I'm assuming, next, right?
Oh wait real quick. Devils -3, book it, free money. All right, Sean. I'm in. It's in my account.
I'm putting it in, right?
Every time Sean gives me a bet, it loses. Every single time.
Really? See, he's always been. He went on a run. He went on a run last year of nailing correct scores in the hockey games we were watching. And of course, I didn't put anything on
during the playoffs.
Yes.
I remember that. Yeah.
He's a genius. But do not listen to him if the Montreal Canadiens are involved, because you know what he's doing.
Also, I think Sean was first on Indiana.
Okay.
When I was on off the air with him, he was talking about Indiana preseason. I think I'm in on this Indiana team. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Who knows how they're going to be. Now they're undefeated. They're probably going to make the playoff.
Just from the moment Cignetti walked into that basketball game and gave that speech, that was worth 3 wins right there itself.
Exactly.
And now we'll find out this week, though. We will find out this week, and that'll be one of our games
that's one of the games that we're about to be
very interesting to see where we go. So how we go, let's see how influenced I can get you on these trends that I found on our show bets. All right. So on the NC2A, again, I've loved this one, Blake. It's actually, since we brought it up about 4 weeks ago, it's been very entertaining. The 2 ranked teams playing, the home team being hitting at 60% ATS. This week you've got Ole Miss, a game that we will be picking, +2.5, and LSU +3, both home dogs. Mm-hmm. One of them is good. Last week was 1-1. This week it's probably at least one of them is gonna hit. On top of that, Ole Miss, they're 6-1, shockingly, to the under. Everyone thinks Lane Kiffin. Everyone thinks over. Last week was their first over. LSU, in the LSU-Alabama game, they're 14-6 ATS in their last 20 revenge spots. Dun, dun, dun. Penn State, everyone ripping on James Franklin, and I would love to see these splits about, they say him in against ranked teams, but when he's a dog versus when he's an actual favorite. He's 18-7 ATS in the last 25 Big Ten games as a favorite. So I think being a favorite and being a dog is a big difference in that game. Not the fans, I get it, right? All right.
That's like a Mike Tomlin stat.
Yes, absolutely.
Same state and everything.
Not only do I have a Tomlin stat, I got a new spin on it. Hold on. So to that big Michigan-Indiana game, teams in a revenge spot that have 4 or more wins than their opponent, like Indiana, are 70% ATS. Dun, dun, dun. All right, on to the NFL. We know Tomlin's huge against the spread as a dog, right? 32-12 as a single-digit dog. Did you know this, Blake? 28-6 straight up against rookie quarterbacks.
Really?
Yes. He owns the defense. They said the defense they run is so complex and changing the looks of everything. It confuses the court, especially that first time they see them, right? Cincinnati, Baltimore, Thursday night games with totals over 50, 22-8 to the under. Yes.
And it's
Miami,
a big number tonight, too.
That's a huge number, 53. That's huge. Miami and the Rams. This game's very intriguing, and we'll talk about this. Mike McDonald, 1-8 against the spread as a single-digit dog. The DJ. All right, CJ Stroud, 10-2 to the under against winning teams with a winning record.
Also, 0-2 against Michigan. That's just fact.
Boom.
By the way, so just to go back on what Sean said, the Devils are playing the Canadians.
Exactly. That's what I said. You got to know. As soon as he says that, he is setting himself up. And he knows what I would end up doing then is I would bet the Devils to help the Habs win because I'd lose my bet because I'm such a terrible hockey bettor.
Well, Montreal is plus 1.5, plus 114, which you don't really see that very often,
right?
In the NHL. That's actually crazy.
So I bet you I've eaten $300 over the last couple of years betting Montreal games just to help Montreal win, knowing my bet would lose.
That's ride or die.
Right? That's what it is. Anything for Sean. I think I got into the Stanley Cup that one year, for frick's sakes.
All right, let's get into these games.
Let's go. Let's see what we like. Let's see who we can make some money. Hopefully these people are tailing us, Blake.
I'm not me lately. Maybe just take the opposite after last week.
Hey, fade me.
Game 1 is a game that you already brought up. Georgia at Ole Miss. Yep. Georgia is favored by 2.5. The over-under here is 54.5.
Yep.
I will get us started. I am taking the road favorite. I think Georgia's defense is the difference here. That pass rush, everything about it. I would lean under as well on this game, but the pick that I am most confident in is definitely Georgia. And they have to win out now to make the SEC championship game. So especially there's a scenario, I heard this yesterday. There's a scenario where there's an 8-way tie in the SEC. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was a bunch of stuff has to happen. But
I love scenarios.
There's a scenario where that happens, and if that did happen, LSU Bama would be playing in the SEC championship game. So
it'd be a rematch of this week. It'd be a rematch of this week. Since they put out the first playoff poll, which I love because I love just the conversation that these things start. They're talking about five SEC teams going to get in.
They are, yes.
Come on.
The Big 12 is only going to get one, and the ACC is probably only going to get one.
So so basically what we're going to have is a Big 10 SEC playoff. And
Notre Dame, yeah.
Yeah, well,
all for Notre Dame to just get smoked in the first round. That team stinks.
Wow, that is why that's why I like the 8-team playoff. But anyways, let me get into this game. I gave that trend, so you know probably where I'm going. I'm all over the total on this one. The public's looking at 2 teams averaging 75 points a game, including Ole Miss averaging 41 points a game alone. Now, Kiffin, though, at times gets a little bit too fancy for himself in these games, especially against good Ds. Last week, these two teams combined for 97 points. So you know what the public is saying. This is an easy over. However, despite 69% of the bets and a majority of the money on the over, this line opened 55 and it's done what, Blake? It's dropped to 54.5 where we're at. I'm going to side with the books and the pros. Give me under 54.5.
Also, just real quick on this game, the shocking thing about these two teams, when you think of Georgia, especially the last decade, they can run the ball really well. And
Yes.
Ole Miss obviously is they lost Judkins to Ohio State. He transferred. But these two teams, and Kiffin wants to run the ball. These are two teams that do not run the ball well. And the way that Carson Beck has been turning the ball over, it's really hurting Georgia. So everything I just said is going against my bet, which is always smart. But it's just very weird that both of these teams cannot run the ball well at all.
Yep.
But neither of these defenses give up a lot of explosives. So
that's
why I really like the under too.
Respectable defenses, and who would have known Lane Kiffin would be 6-1 to the under? Obviously, their only over was last week, so they've become an under team.
All right, next game. Coach Dion, Coach Prime to Texas Tech, which is a very underrated spot in the Big 12. It's a tough place to play. Colorado is favored by 3.5. The over-under here is 62.5. Mike, you go ahead and start. I think I know what you're going to pick here, but you go right ahead.
Blake, hold on to your seat on this one, and I have this in my account. I'm looking at the total, of course, right? Texas Tech, big game last week. Colorado, Coach Prime. This is a game where the pros and the Joes are together. The public and the professional bettors agree on this one. 73% of the bets are on this over, but it's got a sharp split to that. I think it's 89% of the money. This line, why? Why is this happening? Both offenses can score and both defenses can give up points. The offenses on these teams have scored 34, 34, 48, 38, 34, 35, 44. Come on. The defenses give up 41, 59, 35, 31, and 31. On top of that, Blake, during practice, you have to give out your injury sheet. Texas Tech has 14 guys questionable for this game. A lot of them are their big players on defense. All right. And here's analytics. You wanted me to be in analytics last week with that stupid 2-point conversion that I'll never get on. The analytics project 150 plus plays in this game. That is leaning towards some points. I'm going over 62.5 points. This could be the most public bet I've ever made at 73% of the bets.
The Undertaker is taking it over.
Yes.
After 5 straight unders in college picks last week, he takes it over in the second game of the day. What an incredible one.
And it's in my account.
I never thought I'd see the day.
Yep. Let's go.
I went back and forth on this game like crazy. I really did. But I landed on taking Colorado.
Ooh.
I think that Colorado is playing for that Big Ten title game.
Okay.
They've been playing really, really well. I think they have the 2 best players on the field in this game, and one of them just happens to play both sides of the ball in Travis Hunter. Yep. Tim, I agree. Going into the season, I thought Colorado was overrated, but the way that they're playing right now, and they're coming off of a bye, everything, it's just they're going to be healthier, and their top tier talent, they're not deep, but their top tier talent is better than anything Texas Tech is putting out there, even if Texas Tech is fully healthy. So I like Colorado in this spot, and I think they're going to be right in it to win the Big 12. It's them and BYU, which before the season, if you asked me that, I'd be like, no way in hell.
No one would have said that. And that is such a turn for you. You've always talked about the lack of depth on Colorado. It's going to catch them. It's going to catch them. I think we talked about it last week. It's going to catch them. And now you're jumping off the Louisville train and you're hopping right on Coach Prime's train. Here we go. Woo,
hey,
woo.
I do believe.
All right.
Believe.
All right. I love it.
I don't know. We'll see.
I
I'm
believe
gonna get
they
burned.
will win. All right. Here we go.
I'm gonna get burned.
That's all
right. This is a big one. Michigan is going to Indiana. Indiana obviously undefeated. Last week was the first time they trailed in a game all season when they went down 10-0 to Michigan State, and then they won like 45-10. They just rolled.
Yes.
That team is an absolute, when they turn it on, it is on. Cignetti is an incredible coach. Like I said, I am feeling better about Michigan's offense, but I'm not feeling that much better.
No.
So I'm going to take the Indiana Hoosiers minus the 14.5 and the over because they just score points. They score points. I don't think Michigan's corners are going to be back this week. I know that it's come out that Will Johnson is not going to sit out the rest of the season, but I don't fully believe that.
If there's a game, it'd be the Ohio State game. He'll be back.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing also, though, with this, and I will do this. I'm going to take Indiana minus the 14.5. When, Mike, in your gambling career, though, do you have an opportunity to take Michigan on the money line plus like 500?
Right. And here's my thing, though.
Throw $5 on it. Whatever.
Because here's the thing. You talked about their start last week. If they start this week like they did last week, they're not coming back against Michigan in that game. That Michigan's experience and stuff should take over. I'd be confident
they turn into a ball control offense. Yeah.
Yes, and however, I don't see that happening. This is another game, Blake, where the professionals and the popular vote. Oh God, my goodness gracious, the vote. Here we go. And the popular bets, the pros and the Joes are all together again. A majority. Oh, no. I know. A majority of the bets and a majority of the cash are on Indiana. And guess what? The books agree that this line opened up at 11.5. It's been all movement towards Indiana up to 14.5. I don't have this in my account. If I did, I would hold off to see if it drops below 14 at some point when Michigan man comes in and starts betting on this game. However, I'm taking Indiana minus 14.5, and I'm not blinking or not hesitating on that one. Pull that trigger.
Real quick. Tim was asking about Sharon Moore. He's not going anywhere.
No.
I think Wink will be gone because that defensive scheme clearly isn't working. They have to replace him. Sharon Moore, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, recruiting-wise, he's absolutely killing it right now. Like, they have a top 5 class, and they are legitimately in on Bryce Underwood, number 1 QB in the country from the state of Michigan. He's committed to LSU. There's a legitimate shot that he flips because of NIL money and ends up going to Michigan. All of that. Like, I think that Sharon Moore is really Harbaugh was not in on recruiting like Sharon Moore is. And we see that on the field, obviously, this year with the talent drop off from last year. So Sharon Moore is not going anywhere. He's locked in for at least 3 years, and then we can talk about that. But yeah. I hate Wink Martindale. I think he's a horrible defensive coordinator. The downgrade that they took on the defensive side of the ball is all coaching, in my opinion. I hate the scheme. I hate all of it. He can just go. Get him the hell out. But everything else, I'm good.
The only thing that concerns me with Sharon Moore is he's got to get the swagger back into that building. The swagger left with Harbaugh, it's not there. You can see it. That you cannot get pushed around. You cannot get out muscled, and you see that at times. But I agree with you. He ain't going anywhere.
No. All right, on to the next game. Another big one in the SEC. The SEC has 2 great matchups this week with the Georgia Ole Miss game. In this game, Bama LSU, one of the best rivalries in college football in the SEC. this game has produced classics over the last 10 years. And you got oh my God, Brian Kelly with his fake Southern accent, and now it's
Cajun.
Kalen DeBoer. So Mike, you go ahead and start us off on this one. I'm very excited to watch this game. I love this rivalry.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'll go the excitement for both games, going from the Georgia game right into this game. All right, the public's looking at this, and all you can say is there's two inconsistent teams here. At times, the offenses look like they're unstoppable. At times, the defenses look good, and then they can both reverse it right there. They really don't know what's going to happen in this game at times. Are they going to give up a ton of points? Are we going to score a ton of points? This is a huge number. But a majority of the bets and money are on the over, even at this high of a number. This total opened at 58. It peaked out at about 58.5 with the majority of the money and the bets on that number. It should be up to, let's just say 60s where it should have gone, but it hasn't. The books froze it. And that line move, it went from 58 to 58.5 in the first 11 minutes that this line came out. And it hasn't moved since. It's been at 58.5. That's a sharp line freeze. The books like their number. I'm going with them. I like under 58.5.
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Here's the one. This is the one.
The one.
The ranked on ranked home dog.
Yeah.
Give me LSU at night in Baton Rouge. That place
It's gonna happen, baby.
That game is just gonna be incredible, and that atmosphere is gonna be incredible. LSU 100%. Give me the dog. Love it.
I love it. I love it.
I'll be bring out Coach O. Let him just rile up the team a little bit. Brian Kelly's cranky ass.
The greatest voice in the world.
He's the best. I miss Coach O in my life so much. All right, and then the last game, I had a hard time picking the fifth game, but I ended up going with Washington at Penn State. This game is going to be on the Cock, just so everyone knows.
All right.
Peacock exclusive game. Penn State is favored by 13.5. Over under here of 45.5. Penn State, like you talked about before, Penn State's very good against everyone not named Ohio State and Michigan. Give me Penn State minus 13.5. I think they're going to come out angry. Washington's defense is susceptible to some big plays, and Penn State has to get their running game going here. I also like the under a lot, so we're double dipping again.
There we go. Let's get this back.
So we got to get back to 500. That's all we're trying to do.
I love it. I mean, hey, we had that trend. James Franklin as a favorite in the Big Ten is big. He's 18-7 or whatever I said it was. You got to take Penn State, right? And I love that you told me that this game is on Peacock. So when I'm in Lindsay, Ontario on Saturday and they can't find this game, I'm going to tell the waitress to turn on the Cock. And there we go. We'll be good.
And then you'll get arrested.
Boom. There's nothing better than a Canadian jail, eh? All right. So where are we going with this game? The public sees Washington flying across the country. These Big Ten teams haven't been doing so well going east to west or west to east in this first year of all this travel. They think it's a get-right spot for Penn State, and they know James Franklin's great. He covers as a favorite. However, despite a majority of the money and bets on Penn State, this line has stayed at 13.5. It even dipped briefly down to 13, showing me that the books are good with their number. I'm staying with that number. I'm taking Washington into 13.5.
You're just going against your own stats.
Yeah. You like that?
I do. It's incredible.
That's how I make it happen, Blake. That's how I make the magic.
All right. Now I got a lot of games to fire through here real quick. So I will, of course I do, because that's how I roll.
That's Blake. Blake's rolling with that NC2A. You're going to throw me 14 picks here. Let's go.
Friday night game, Iowa -6 at UCLA. I know we talked about the travel in the Big Ten. Iowa's offense is just good.
Yeah.
Like since the quarterback change, Cade McNamara stinks. He should be deported or something. I don't know. Get him to Canada. Something like that. Go. He's horrible. He is horrible. So, but their offensive has looked so much better, especially their running back, who had an incredible start to the season, now that they've changed quarterbacks and the new quarterback's name is completely slipping my mind, but he's their running threat. So it's opened up lanes for the running back. And I just like what their offense has been doing. And they're an over team this year, which is incredible. Like, they've been covering overs by themselves this year. It makes no sense. Purdue, Ohio State over. I think I have the wrong number here. I wrote down 37.5. There's no way that's right. So now I have to.
That's got to be 57.5.
I think it's 57.5.
Because the line's like 38, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Now I have to double check.
I would love to see Ohio State minus 38, over under 37.5. That'd be great.
53.5.
Okay. So you had it totally right.
Where did I get 37.5?
That is great. You're making yourself feel confident about, oh, this is going to go over for sure.
Yeah. I like over there.
Okay.
Texas minus 21.5 against Florida. Florida's got the quarterback injuries. Lagway, I guess, did practice.
Okay.
So there's a chance he plays. If he doesn't, do you know where the third string quarterback was at previously to Florida?
I know he was playing for Georgia last week when he threw that freaking interception that cost me a bet.
Yeah, last season he played for Yale.
So he's smart.
Yeah, but imagine going from playing in the Ivy to the largest outdoor cocktail party.
Well, he went from playing Brown to playing Georgia last week and didn't even know he was going to be playing.
Texas coming off of a bye too, getting healthy. Quinn, another week of rest for whatever he's been having going on.
Yeah.
So Texas minus the 21.5. I know it's a bad number, but I like it. Miami minus 10.5 at Georgia Tech. We all remember this game from last year when Miami did not kneel it out. So they got a over under half a kneel for Miami in this game.
Oh, I would bet that. They're kneeling. They're going to kneel. They're going to kneel first play on principle.
First of all, can't do it again.
No. Now, do you know, is King in or out of that game?
I have not heard either way.
Okay. I've been tracking.
I like it.
Take Georgia Tech.
I like it either way. I like it a lot more if King doesn't play.
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously. Miami's just going to want to score. Like, they're trying to get Cam Ward the Heisman.
100%. 100%.
So if it's if they're up 10 late in the game and they get the ball, they're going to try and score again. So, Army minus 5.5 at North Texas. That's just for America, basically. Yeah. Army's just really good. Army's like Army still has a legitimate shot at that G5 spot.
Yeah.
With a big game against Notre Dame, I think next week at MetLife Yankee Stadium. So they have to keep winning. They have to win big. If they can upset Notre Dame, which I don't think they will, they have a chance though to pass up Boise, because that's a better win than Boise's had all year. Boise's best win is a loss against Oregon. Like, that's their best game of the year. And the UNLV game. Obviously.
UNLV, yeah.
Virginia Tech plus 6.5 against Clemson. They're at home. Clemson looked like dog water last week, obviously. And Cade Klubnik is not the same quarterback on the road. This, I would wait on this one until Saturday, even if the line gets, a little closer. Thing is Virginia Tech's quarterback Drones, he's been battling an injury. If he doesn't go, I would not take this.
Yeah. So
I would wait until Saturday morning to decide on that. But if he's going, I would take Virginia Tech, even if it gets down to like 4.5, 3.5.
I like it. Good advice.
Vandy plus 3.5 against South Carolina. Why is Vandy? Like, they should be favored at home. I understand South Carolina came off that big win against Texas A&M last week. Vandy's just really good. I'm not going to bet against Diego Pavia. What an incredible name, too.
We talked about this. I pulled off it. There's no way. I was on South Carolina. My numbers say take South Carolina. I said, I cannot go. Vandy has cost me.
Vandy just went on the road and like Auburn's not good this year. I understand that, but still, you went on the road as a 7.5 point dog and outright won. Vandy's just good. They are
People are-
good.
Yep.
Maryland, Oregon over 57.5. Oregon could put that up on their own if they don't take their foot off the gas. But Maryland has been playing a little bit better. I don't think that they've completely quit on the season. That USC game obviously helped them. So, Mississippi State at Tennessee under 61. Tennessee's defense is awesome. I don't know how Mississippi State scores in this game.
That's the tough one.
The only thing is if Tennessee's offense finally, what are we in week 11? If their offense looks like it looked the first 3 weeks of the season, if they can somehow turn it back on, this game will go over. I don't think it will, but I believe in Tennessee's defense enough. And then last but not least, we got the Holy War, BYU at Utah. Utah stinks. BYU minus 3.5. I know they're a road favorite, but BYU, keep it going.
All right. I'm still waiting for that time that me and you go head to head on one of our in-account bets. It hasn't happened. So here I go. I got the Colorado Texas Tech over in my account. Tonight, I'm going with a game. It's my first Thursday night game here. I'm going to the App State Coastal Carolina game. The public's looking at this game. They say, hey, these teams are kind of evenly matched, but they're willing to lay some points with the better Coastal Carolina team. However, despite 57% of the bets, this line opened with Coastal Carolina as that favorite where they were trying to lay it. It has flipped. Now we've got App State minus 1 point. We've got a dog to fave situation. And guess what, Blake? I took it early. I've got App State at plus 1.5. I would advise at that minus 1 now just take App State on the money line if you want to. But I've got them at plus 1.5 tonight. Now we go to the beat.
By the way, we were very close because I almost took Coastal. I was going to put Coastal on my, but I just stayed away from it.
We're getting there. I think you had about 3 bets I was looking at. So next I'm going to go down to the BC Syracuse game. The public looks at Syracuse, so the better record coming off a big win against Virginia Tech, right? They beat them Hokies. All right. The public sees that. They're all over it. They think that the wrong team's favored here. BC has also lost 3 straight games. However, despite a majority of bets and money on Syracuse, the book has sided with me, and they've gone from, I take another dog to fave here. Virginia Tech was minus 1. BC is now minus 2.5. So I got them at minus 2, so I still have a little bit of value there. So BC minus 2. Now, Friday night, we're going to this one. I don't know why I do this to myself. I'm going to the Rice and Memphis game. Memphis has just been good to me, so we'll see. Maybe they'll get some payback. The public sees Memphis with a better offense, the better record, and they're willing to lay the big points at home with Memphis. However, despite 67% of the bets, this line opened at 10.5. It's been as low as 9. I got it at 9.5. All movement has been towards Rice. I'm going to side with that reverse line movement. I'm taking Rice plus the 9.5. Going to one that I literally, Blake, I tell you, when I bet, sometimes I've got no idea who I'm taking. I've got no idea about this team, so you can tell me about them. I'm going to the San Jose State, Oregon State game. The public sees 2 pretty evenly matched teams, and they're willing to lay the points with the home field advantage in Oregon State. Despite 68% of the bets, though, this line opened at 4 and has dropped to 3 and has stayed there and hasn't even bopped back up to 3.5 from what I've seen, all in favor of San Jose State. More reverse line movement that I'll take. I got San Jose State plus 3, Blake. I don't know. We'll see. Another one. You can tell me about this one because now I'm going to the troops. I'm taking an academy here. First time going to the Air Force Fresno State game. The public thinks that this is an easy cover for that Fresno State team that gave the big bad Michigan Wolverines an early run this year. However, despite a majority of bets and money, this line opened at 11. It moved in favor of Air Force to 10. I took it at 10.5. It's frozen at 10. I'm going to take this, and Blake, I'm a sucker for this. Air Force offense and defense stink. I seem to have one of these bets, at whether it's Kent State or Air Force. I take it. I'm a sucker for it. Give me Air Force plus 10.5.
Did you have Kent State earlier this week when they got shut out again?
Oh, no. I had them last week, though. I had them last week where there was no – I think they went up 10-0. There was no reason they didn't cover. It was 2 weeks ago I had. It's like, come on. But I said the same thing. I always have one of those where I'm looking at everything to, like, why the line's moving. I'm like, why is the line moving towards a Kent State or Air Force when you're talking like the 200th ranked defense and offense?
By the way,
10.5 isn't enough points.
Air Force Army last week went under. So that's lives. I love it. I love it so much.
That wasn't even close.
No, it was great. Close. I didn't even have to sweat it. It was I love betting Service Academy unders. Like, no matter what. The total could be 31. I'm betting the under.
Yeah. On
to the NFL. Well, you're good, right?
I'm good. Yep.
Okay.
All right. End it with a bang. Air Force, baby.
Love it. On to the NFL, where I win games again.
Where Blake is sharp as hell.
So to start off, game tonight.
Yep.
Starting in about 40 minutes. This is your pregame. This is it.
Yeah. Right here.
Baltimore's favored by 5.5. Yeah. I don't. This one I'm kind of betting with my heart, not my head, if we're being honest with you.
So if you're betting with your heart, I know where you're going.
Yes. Give me Joe Burrow plus the 5.5. That's it. They have to win. They have to win to stay in the playoff race. They can't afford a loss here. I know how good the Ravens are. But they have to win. And they did trade for a running back, so who knows? Yep.
And I took a screenshot. I got something for you here, Blake. Let's see. I got to get that. I took a screenshot because I knew I'd forget. So with this, everyone loves the Ravens. They think the Ravens are great. The Ravens are only 5-14-1 in their last 20 games against the spread when they're laying 6 or more points. Again, you got it at 5.5 here, but it's at places it's 6.5. Now on the flip side, on the flip side,
all over the place.
Yeah, the Bengals are 11-7 as a dog in that same span, 4-1 against the spread when getting 6 or more points. So it goes both ways. If we were at 6 or 6.5, it really favors, as the trend would tell you, the Bengals. But you know where I'm going on this one, Blake. I'm going on a total. And it couldn't be more obvious where I'm going with one. The public sees the Ravens, the number 2 offense in the league, Lamar Jackson leading the MVP betting. They see Cincinnati scoring 41 and 24 points in their last week, along with both teams are struggling defensively, shockingly enough, with Baltimore. You think defense, despite 67% of the bets on the over. This line opened with 52.5, had a quick move to 53 with 67% of the bets. So you think that thing would keep climbing. It froze right there. And he's even dropped down back to 52.5 at times. This freeze is all sharp money. I'm siding with the sharp.
You're sharding?
I did just say I was sharding. I am sharding on the over, and I'm taking under 53, baby. And this is in my sharding account.
Question, and I don't know if you know the answer to this. The Ravens, I know, traded for Tre'Davious White. Do you know if he's playing tonight?
From what I heard, he is. But the question is about his health, whether he is healthy and can stay healthy. The guy's in and out of the lineup all the time. But from what I had heard this morning, that they expected him to play.
Because I know, the running back that the Bengals traded for, whose name is completely slipping my mind, from the Bears, he's playing tonight.
Yeah,
for sure. I knew that.
And from what I've heard, T. Higgins is not.
Correct. That's what I've heard too. Yeah. I know he was listed as doubtful, but I don't think he's playing.
He's not playing.
Freaking T. Higgins. He changes that offense completely.
100%.
You can't double chase then. So frustrating.
Making it easier on him. And remember that trend. When it's over 50 on Thursday nights, 22-8 to the under, baby.
Love it. I'm gonna take that right when we're done here. So thank you for that.
Here we go. You are welcome.
Next game, Commanders, Steelers.
Steelers and the
Commanders are favored by 2.5. Over under here is 45.5. Mike, you go ahead.
All right. Hey, this is an obvious one. The public loves themselves some Jaden Daniels, and they think that this line is way too short for the seven win Commanders. And the books agree. They moved it from 2. It's been as high as 3. We had at 3 at one point, back down now to 2.5. However, the pro money is siding with Tomlin as a dog, as always. I gave you that stat, and against a rookie quarterback. I'm taking the Steelers and the points. I like 3. I'll take 2.5.
We're gonna fight this one out because I got Washington.
Here we go. All right. Here we go.
I believe in this Washington team. I think if it was Pittsburgh at home, I would agree with you, but the spread also wouldn't be what it is. Okay. But I think Washington's just the real deal, man. Like, their offense has just been so good. Daniels has been playing at, like, you could argue Daniels is playing obviously at a rookie of the year level, but also like could be an MVP candidate if he stays where he's at right now. He's been playing that good.
Yes. If you are having a conversation about the MVP and you're not including Jaden Daniels, you're mistaken, especially if you're including Patrick Mahomes. You know, he's not having a great year. I get it. They're 8-0. But he's not the most valuable on that team. You can even argue Jared Goff isn't the most valuable on his team. That's a team effort. That offensive line is probably the MVP there. You take Jaden Daniels off this Commanders team, this team is done.
Yeah.
You've got to have that conversation. He's got to be in there. I'm not even going to Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson right now are 2 stars that are should be as the front runners at whatever they are, plus 250 each. On it, Jaden Daniels at 10-1. I don't know if they'd give it to him because this is the way the league works. He's going to get Rookie of the Year. That's basically his MVP. I even look at it as if you want to bet on that, you look at Josh Allen because they like to give it to the new guy. He's earned it. Lamar's got his too. It's his time. You know, I'm still hoping that those 2 lay an egg a couple times so I can use that value I have in my Jared Goff bet.
What's Goff at now?
7-1.
And what did you get him at?
40.
Pretty good.
But those guys
I don't hate Goff for MVP. Like, if you're
he's there.
80%,
yeah.
Like, that's incredible.
They get the number 1 seed and they go 14-3. He's getting it. I mean, or he's going to be right there. And that's what I need is Allen and Lamar to lay an egg. So they drop down to about 7-1, and I can start dropping money on them. And that's what happened last year. I had Purdy at 25-1. Lamar had a couple tough games. He went to about 9.5-1. I grabbed him at 9.5. Then the Purdy Baltimore game happened, and it changed the course of that MVP race.
Yeah. All right, next game.
Yes.
Buffalo at Indy. Buffalo is favored by 3.5. The over-under here is 47.5. I got a double dip here for you, my friend. I have the Bills minus 3.5, and I also have the over here.
Yeah. All right.
Go ahead.
Like, if you can get 2 bets out of this game, I bless you. This game just stinks. This line just stinks. I literally fought this one for about 15 minutes and I couldn't come up with anything. So I, of course, being who I am, I look at the total because the Bills minus 3. The Colts are awful. They stink. Joe Flacco's their best chance to win, and he's just 150 years old. It's just not going to happen. 3.5 doesn't make sense. But of course, all my numbers point towards Indianapolis. I can't take Indianapolis. That team stinks. The team is boring. Their coaches stink. I'm looking at the total though, because the numbers made sense. The public's looking at Josh Allen. He's an MVP candidate. They're putting up close to 30 points a game. They're playing a struggling Colts team. They're thinking the Bills could put up a good 35, the 38 points here on their own. They just need 10 points out of the Colts to go over. Despite 60% of the bets on the over, this line has never moved off 47.5. I don't understand how this line's at 47.5. Give me the under. I'm siding with the books and the sharp line freeze.
You know what's crazy? The Bills team total is only 25.5.
See, Blake, this is why people should love us. That is such a good find. If you like anything in this game, if you like Buffalo in this game, you take over 25.5.
Yeah.
If you like the over in this game, you take over 25. That has to come in under for me to like this game. I mean, because you're looking. So for that to go over, what's Indy's?
21.5.
You take the under like that. There's no way they score 21 points against Buffalo. Again, I haven't looked at everything, but your eyeball test would tell you that.
Yeah, no, I agree. But
I don't think there's many games they've scored over 21 points this year. I've got to see this. I thought I looked at that.
I'm going to look right now. But yeah, that's just because I was like, I actually really like that team total more than Buffalo and the over. I like team total over 25.5. Buffalo's going to score 28 points in this game. Right?
So they scored. Yeah, well, absolutely. Absolutely. You've got Houston, you've got Indy's gone 27, 10, 21, 27. Okay. All right. 34. I could be 21, 16, 20. They haven't scored 21 points since October 6th.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was against against Jacksonville. But
they did put up 27 against Pittsburgh at home. But they were clicking then. That was a good bet then. People were like they've fallen asleep. So, but those are two interesting
team
lines.
Total
there.
over on Buffalo too. We don't
I like
team
that.
totals on this, but I really like that. Next game, we got totally distracted. That for a game that you think stinks, we talked way more about that.
I mean, but you got to see. Here's the thing, though. You find a nugget like that. That's like me saying I always make my bets off the alt line menu. You always find little nuggets in there, and then all of a sudden you're looking at this game that this line doesn't make sense, and you're like, wait, Indianapolis team total 21? No way, not against Buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo 25. Come
on. Sunday night football. Detroit at Houston. Detroit is favored on the road by 3.5. I don't know if you know this. I know you like to dabble in this. This is a Blake special, and I just wanted you to be aware of it. Houston is wearing their battle red uniforms.
They are fire, as the youth would say. I love them. Do you know, Blake? I almost made a jersey bet. I almost went. I like their jerseys. I'm taking Texans, but I didn't.
And the over under here is 48.5. Mike, you go ahead. Get us started.
All right. This one again is very simple for me to see where the popular bets are coming in at. They see the number one ranked Lions offense, and they're still have love for CJ Stroud. They still remember last year. This guy was the Jaden Daniels of this year. You know, last year they were talking CJ Stroud for MVP, right? However, he lost his buddy Nico. And since he's lost his buddy Nico, it's been a different story. So these bets, because as of this morning, I was trying to wait it out. He was still iffy. They liked what they saw, but they didn't like what they saw. They want to take it cautiously here. They've got a decent enough record. They can take another week, right? However, 73% of the bets are on the over in this game. And this total went, and the books agree, this total went as high as 50.5. So since it's been at 50.5, though, even with 73% of the bets, that line should stay at least 50.5. It started to tick down, so it's gone back and forth. I believe that's the Nico Collins effect. They're waiting to see. This is a different team with him in this lineup. CJ Stroud's got no one to throw the ball to because they've only got the one receiver tanked out. You know, so I believe that's a Nico Collins effect. So I could be screwed on this bet if he plays because I'm going under the total at 48.5. And I'm going with the CJ Stroud against winning team. He hasn't looked good this year. He hasn't looked good.
No, he looked horrible against the Jets.
Yes.
I mean, I think he was at like below 30% completion percentage in that game.
And it was
he
bad.
bad.
It was bad. It was bad.
How many times did he get sacked in that game? Like 9?
Yes. And under pressure all the time. I thought he was going to get hurt at one point, but that's more of what you can expect if Nico Collins is not in that game. Nico Collins in this game changes this game. So I took it before I had anything because we're doing the show tonight. So under 48.5.
I'm double dipping.
Ooh.
I'm going to take Detroit. Minus 3.5. I think they are the far superior team. And I'm also taking the over. Detroit's just body slamming teams right now. And when you're on a roll like they are, and especially there's no breaks in games, like they had the early bye. They're just boat racing teams. And until someone stops them, until someone proves it, and Skydog said in the chat, Will Anderson might be out. That's a huge you have to pressure Goff to get him off of his game. Completing 80% of his passes. No quarterback does well under pressure, obviously. So I'm going to double dip, and I'm going to take the over. Also, because now I'm addicted to talking about team totals, Detroit's is only 26.5. So I might take the team total over on
you like the over, so you would take that. I get it. And it's, if Will Anderson, I mean, even if he plays, he's on one good leg. I mean, he was hurting last week trying to get back into that game. So we'll see. We will see.
And then Monday Night Football, I just threw this on there because it's Monday Night Football. This game's, I don't think it's somewhat interesting because Miami's been looking better. The Rams have been looking better. Mm-hmm. But it's still kind of an ugly game. Rams, Dolphins. Rams are at home. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
Right, so I don't have the over under. There you go.
There we go.
That's one.
Rams -1, over under of 50.5. So this spread I think is kind of funky. I figured it would be more Rams like 2.5, honestly.
So you do know that that's where it was.
Oh, really? I did not.
Yes. So yesterday. Yep. So yesterday, I was doing my numbers and I circled it at 2.5, and I'm like, this is going to be a 2.5-3 game is what I agree with you. That's what I thought it was going to be. So when I have a 2.5-3 and I like the 2.5, I'm waiting for the 3. I will check that line every 15, 20 minutes. I checked it 30 minutes later. It went from 2.5 to 1. I figured someone was injured. There was no injuries that came out, no news that came out. That was flat out. Some syndicate came in, some group came in and just pounded Miami. And within a half an hour, it went from 2.5 to 1. And that's like, this is going to be in my account if I can get it to bounce back up. And I may even take it at the 1, but go ahead and finish, sir.
No, I was just going to say I'm taking the Rams -1.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you like the Rams, because I say it was 2.5. I figured it was going to get the 3. I missed it. So it's not in my account right now, but we'll battle on this one. I'm going to be on the other side. When you look at it, you see exactly what the public sees. The Rams are on fire, and on top of that, they're getting 2 offensive linemen back, so they're getting healthy on that line. Puka's not going to throw any punches this week. They're going to have both their receivers in there. Miami's really not looking good. They looked better with Tua in last week, but they got 3 losses in a row. And here we go. 69% of the bets.
Nice.
Are on the Rams, but the money is split, so that line shouldn't have moved, but something came in and the books didn't like it. They dropped that from 2.5 to 1. I'm taking the Dolphins plus the 1. I'm holding off, though, like I said, to my account to see if maybe some of that gets bought back and I can at least get to 2. If not, I may just take them on the money line. I don't know, but it's not in my account. I'm looking to take it into my account, though.
No, I like it. I mean, I can't really argue the logic there at all. Like,
but the Mike logic. I mean, when that line moves and it doesn't make sense because the bets aren't there, that's 100% me. This is just me being a baby because I missed that line because I was waiting for a 3. And usually when I see something like that, I would have taken that 2.5, but I was getting greedy, and that's on me.
Yeah. Now I have to. Now that we've, you know what's crazy for this game? Both team totals are 24.5.
All right. I mean, it makes sense to where
I'm
the
addicted
total
to
is.
talking team totals.
Yeah, I mean, it's so that would even tell me they're leaning more towards this going to a pick 'em.
Yeah.
It's very, like I said, it makes even less sense to me with the Rams getting healthier. You would think that would go the other way, but again, when I say it doesn't make sense to me, it's exactly where I would go.
Yeah.
And that's why I'll be at the end of the day, I'll be on Miami by Monday. Monday night, a hugely bet game. Again, the public could move that back up.
Have you been on any Maction this week? Because I've bet on every Maction game.
How are you doing with the dogs came in the first night and then the faves came in last night, right?
Yeah. And last night I lost both.
Okay.
And then the night before I had the over in the Ball State game, I believe it was. Now I have to log into my account and look. Yeah, it was a rough night. Yeah, so okay, I had the over 52.5 last night in Kent State, Ohio. Kent State doesn't score any points in that game. It was disgusting. It was gross. And then I had Western plus the 2. I figured at home plus 2. Northern just boat raced them. Yeah. And then what I did was, so I had over 48 in Miami, Ohio, Ball State. Obviously, that was a push. And then I had parlayed with that Bowling Green minus 14. Did you see the end of that game? You were probably in bed.
I was in bed. I haven't made it past 8 o'clock.
So Bowling Green was up. They were covering by 16. They
were covering at one time.
Oh, yeah, they were. Central scores. Bowling Green gets the ball back. They hit 2 explosive runs. They get down to the 5-yard line. The guy goes out of bounds. So the clock was stopped with like a minute 15, I want to say, left. They fucking kneel it out.
Okay. So
I was pissed.
I'm glad you told me this, but I'm mad that you told me this. I'm glad you told me this because I can tell this story. I'm mad because of what the story is. So I would say 4 or 5 weeks ago, I was listening to one of the many podcasts that I listened to. These professional bettors were talking, and they were talking about Central Michigan. And they said he couldn't speak on it. Literally, Blake, he said, I cannot speak on it, and I cannot give you details, but something is going on with these Central Michigan games.
I've heard that too.
You've heard that the lines have been wonky, and if you watch, so I haven't done anything with them, but I've watched them, and the lines move. Like this one even went from, I was looking at it, was like 13 or something. And before I knew it, right before game time, it jumped to like 16.5. Let's say. But the endings of the games and feel like he's like, I just can't give you details, but there's something going on at Central Michigan.
There's been multiple people I've heard that from. There's been
that fits right into it. That fits right into it. So I know I've stayed away, but that's funny that I would have been going crazy if I seen that, thinking like, my God.
All right. So let me roll through. I'll roll through mine real quick because Austin actually brought up one of my picks, Jets Cards. He's got the Jets, but he's nervous, thinks the Cards might be good. I agree with that 100%. The thing is the Jets need the win more than the Cards. The Cards could lose this game, and because the West is so like mediocre from top to bottom, I think the Jets need this game, and that offense we started to see kind of get rolling last week. So I actually have the Jets minus the 1 at the Cards. I don't love it, but I like it enough. Especially the travel thing is what scares me. But and then my other games, I like the Patriots plus the 6.5 against the Bears. I just think the Bears are a dumpster fire right now.
They shouldn't be favored by 6.5 against anybody.
Eberflus is so bad. That team is so talented on both sides of the ball. Legitimately. Like, roster-wise, I think that they are incredible. Eberflus has lost that locker room completely.
And that was a question I know we got to get going that we can talk about, is trying to bet around some of these coaching situations. I mentioned to you, I love Jacksonville. Before the Lawrence injury, I was all over Jacksonville, but I couldn't bet them because I think that team's about ready to quit on them, just like the Saints quit last week on Allen before he got fired. And that's what happens. They have that big game where there's no effort from the team. This could be that game from the Chicago Bears, and the Patriots come in here and win, and Eberflus is gone.
Yep. And I'm a big fan of Pardon My Take. I listen to it every week. Now that I'm not commuting, that's going to be a little bit tougher, but still. And Big Cat from that he's a Bears guy, like through and through.
Yeah,
he was talking about it. Their last 3 coaches. So they had John Fox. They drafted Trubisky. Fox gets fired. And then they hired what's his name? That's the Chiefs offensive coordinator now. Nagy. Nagy's around Trubisky. They then draft Justin Fields. And then so Nagy's there for a year with Fields. Then they fire him. Like, it's a revolving door.
Yes.
Like, there's no consistency there. It's horrible. So, and it's going to happen again with Caleb.
Yeah.
And the thing is if the Bears can get Ben Johnson, which I know everyone around here would hate because we all love Ben Johnson. He's incredible. Ben Johnson with Caleb Williams would be awesome. Yep. It would be absolutely.
They just got to give him the money in the term, and they'll have him.
Broncos plus 8.5 against the Chiefs. Like we talked about earlier, if it's more than a touchdown, I'm taking whoever the Chiefs are going to play. I understand. Like, I don't think the Broncos are very good, and I especially a rookie quarterback going against that defense. But they're just going to play in tight games all year. It's just how it's going to go. Falcons Saints over 46.5. Those two teams just playing wonky games. I know how bad the Saints have looked. Obviously, losing to Carolina last week. Like, the Saints are a train wreck as well, firing their coach, everything.
Yep.
But these two teams always play in high-scoring shootout games. In my mind, Bucks plus 6 against the 49ers. I just think it's too many points. And we saw the Bucks are still a good team. Like, Baker is going to keep them in games. And then my last one is the Titans Chargers under 38.5. I think those are two very, very, very good defenses. And I was shocked to see the number that high. I thought it would be like more like 35.5.
Yeah.
So
one of those low NFL totals.
Blake's line value sees that at 35.5, 38.5. I'm getting 3 points.
Right. I love it. I love your value. I love Blake value. Blake closing value. I love it. All right, let's see. I'll get through these real quick. I've got the under tonight. Most likely I'll have the Fins in my account. I'm going to the Vikings-Jaguars game. I said I was looking at the Jaguars. I couldn't get myself there because of Peterson. I think he's a lame duck coach. I think he's going to be gone. I'm looking at the total. The public's looking at streaky offenses that are scoring 30, 31, 30, 32 points 2 of the last 3 weeks, each of these guys. They think this is an easy over. They've got 66% of bets on the over. However, it opened at 47.5. I grabbed it at 47. I've seen it as low as 45.5. There's some of that Blake value in that. I'm siding with the under there and that reverse line movement. I'm going to that Saints-Falcons game, right? I'm going there. The public sees a hot Falcons team coming off 2 wins. The Saints have lost 7 in a row, including last week to Carolina that cost their coach a job, right? 87 of the bets are on the Falcons, but this line hasn't moved off the 3.5 battle. It should be the 4.5, right? Give me the Saints at plus 3.5. and I don't care. Home dog, baby. The Denver KC game that you're on, I'm going to the total. The undefeated Chiefs, MVP candidate Mahomes, playing a Denver team that scored 30 points but just gave up 41 to Lamar, right? They think this is going to be an easy over. They've got 65% of the bets and the majority of the money on the over. However, it opened 42. It's dropped as low as 41, but it's never budged past that 42 is towards the over. I got under 42 in that game. And Blake, that's it.
That's it.
I'm light in the NFL this week. I was shocked, but again, some of the lame duck coaches scared me off. And I think it's one of these to where when I looked at the games, just the majority of bets are going there. And I'm not going to follow the trend that's going on just because it's going. You're late to the party. You're 5 weeks in. That's going to flip. We're going to have a regression to the mean on this at some point. So there was no numbers that really looked good to me. So I was at 4 or 5 bets. Very light for me, but we got it.
Look at even my card. I agree with you. I got 3 dogs.
Yep.
Obviously, they're bigger dogs, 6-point dogs, but 6 and up. But still, like, eventually the favorites it's gonna come around. I agree with you 100%. And this could be the week, definitely.
Yeah, I think they were 10-4 against the spread, the favorites last week, but I think 3 or 4 of those four of those losses were over 5.5 points. All those big dogs we talked about, the only one that covered was Denver last week. Carolina, Jacksonville, blah blah. I forget who the 4 were, but we went over Miami, and there was one other, but they all covered. Those were the dogs that covered.
No,
Denver
Denver
didn't. They were the only one that that didn't cover. The other 4 covered. Miami, the Raiders. I just went through them and now I'm going to forget them. But anyways, we gotta get out of here, right?
Yeah. Well, Todd already left. He said.
Oh, he already left.
Yeah, he was like, "F you guys, I'm out of here." So,
all right. I was
going to ask
feeling bad.
real quick. One other thing I want to ask you: do you have any Heisman? Are you in on anything?
I don't. I was late to it on there because you know what I like to do. I like to see the big guy coming down. I missed a couple opportunities on Travis Hunter when he was 40-1. Even when me and you went over it a couple weeks ago, I said he was at 18-1 when he was nursing a sore shoulder. That when you can get them at those numbers, then you can buy in on, and it's an ever moving. Whoever has the big win or the loss, Genty was all the way up. Now he's back down to like 8 or something. So, but I don't. I was late to the party.
I realistically think there's only 3 guys that can win it. It's Ward, Hunter, and Genty, and that's it to me. Because none of the other quarterbacks have done anything.
Yeah, and there's no, and the only one on there that wasn't at a big number at some point was Ward. Ward, a decent number, but he's always been one of the guys that's up there. I don't know what he opened at, but Travis Hunter was a huge number when it came out, and Genty was, I think, 150, 200-1, as the season got started. So if you could have got those numbers, then you have all that value.
I don't see anyone else in that race. I really don't.
Could a Jackson Dart, could one of these guys that you're gonna have to win out though. You literally have to win out, but then you also have to make the SEC championship game. And I just don't know what these possibilities are.
Yeah, the only other one would be Milroe, just because of his stats are crazy. But I don't know, man. Like he would have to, like you said, he would have to win out and have some incredible performances.
Yeah.
And the way they utilize him, he's just bound to deal with injuries. Like not like out of the game injuries, but just like lingering, nagging stuff. So that's why I think it's those 3 and everybody else.
And I think the numbers are bearing that out too. Everyone's kind of really fading away, and there's just not enough big games left. And the guys that are in there have big games left, or are going to be undefeated and going to be in the top 4. So you could see Cam Ward fall right out of it this week.
Yeah, 100%.
Georgia Tech, King gets healthy, gets in that game.
They don't
lose against Georgia Tech. he's down, and then it's Travis Hunters, and then your Colorado Buffs. They could at any time they could fall off that train, and now Genty's back in it. Even though it seems like teams think they've got them figured out, there's a lot of money. Yeah, there's a lot of money on. I should know who they're playing because I was letting Nevada this week. There's a lot of money on Nevada this week at 24.5. So have they figured them out? Are they going to keep them to 120 and 2 touchdowns and stand a chance to win on the Smurf turf? I don't know.
That's crazy. That like holding him down is 120 and 2 tutters. Yeah. Awesome.
But that gets into at some point we'll be talking, I'm sure, about the playoff. And I'm not a big proponent of little brother getting in. However, this is a situation that if you can put Genty against a defense, like let's say in Ohio State, I want to see that because that's going to be all telling for whether they win or lose. I want to see that. If they didn't have Genty, Boise State could get lost.
Penn State, Boise State would be an incredible game.
Yeah, that's what. Just can he do it against them? Can he carry that team and keep it close and get 120 and 2 touchdowns? Then it's like, all right, this kid is for real.
I think that I think Caesars does it where you can like put in like what would this line be on a neutral site or whatever.
Okay.
I would love to know what that line would be. I would guess it would be like 11.5. That would be my guess. But I would take Boise in that spot 100%.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. You have to. But we'll see. It'll be get there. At some point we'll block off some time and we'll have a chat about it.
Yeah, we once the season starts wearing down, conference championship week, Army Navy week. I can't wait for Army Navy. Army Navy this year is going to be an incredible game. Like it's not even just everything else. It's just going to be a very good game. Those are 2 awesome teams, and I think that total might be a little too high with those 2 offenses.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and there could be something to play for there too. So watch out. Yeah. So that'll bring a lot of stuff to it here as Coastal Carolina is about to shove it up App State's butt real fast here.
I liked Coastal in that game, but I didn't want to do that to you.
Thank you very much for not taking free money.
All right, let's get out of here. We'll see you next week, Friday, most likely. Obviously, it depends on your schedule, Mike. But yeah, and probably around the same time. 6:30 start time is good for us. So
that is perfect. That is good. Like I say, I stay sober and I'm good. My numbers come out right.
Beautiful. And we'll see everyone next week. Check out. I believe Sean's going live Saturday night, so check him out Saturday night to recap all the college football craziness that happens, and probably a little preview of the Lions. And like I said, we will be back here next week, same time, different day. And thank you everyone for watching, listening.
Yeah.
And Todd, thank you for everything you do on the back end, and we will see everyone next week.
You've been listening to Off the Board. Tune in all throughout the football season for weekly picks and insights. Subscribe to Unsyndicated and Off the Board on all your favorite social media and podcast platforms.